Hello guys, and welcome to another MK Mobile character review, in this episode featuring Classic Kano. As usual guys, please make sure to check the date when this video has been recorded, and if you are not aware of the matrix I'm using in order to evaluate characters, you can find it on the top right corner of the screen. So without any further ado, let's put Classic Kano to the test. Classic Kano guys was released on the 14th of July year 2016, and by that time he was available in the store for 332 souls, so you shouldn't be expecting very high stats. Let's start with the attack. It is 41,297, the 36th highest in the game and the 18th in the Gold League. The hit points, they're 77,722, the 45th overall and the 26th among the gold characters. The toughness, it is 33,264, the 37th highest in the game and the 19th in the Gold League. And the recovery is 35,910, the first highest in the game and the 16th among the gold characters. His power generation is 100%, so for his stats, Classic Kano gets 14.9 out of 28 points. Like any other Kano guys, Classic Kano has the Kano Ball as his special one. What you need to know about this ability is first that it can be completely blocked by the opponent. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any buff or debuff. It can be cast from distance, however the first two mini attacks will miss. Good news here is that they deal only 10% of the total damage of his special one. Also, the ability is lethal. It consists of 5 mini attacks, and it has the single tap circle as a minigame. When it comes to damage, the minimum damage of Kano's special one is 13,628, which is the 48th highest overall and the 29th in the Gold League. The maximum damage is 24,530, the 58th highest in the game and the 29th again in the Gold League. Once again, let's repeat the properties of Kano's special one. It can be completely blocked by the opponent, it doesn't have any buff or debuff, it can be cast from distance, however the first two mini hits will miss. It is lethal, it consists of 5 mini attacks, and it has the single tap circle as a mini game. So for his special one, Classic Kano gets only 5.4 out of 13 possible points. Ear to Ear, this is the name of Classic Kano's special 2, and quite honestly this is the best part about the character. First thing first, this ability is unblockable and it can be cast from distance, even though you have to keep in mind that the first two mini hits will miss, but this is not a big deal because they deal roughly about 10% of the total damage of the special attack. Also, special 2 of Classic Kano is lethal, it has fire as main debuff, it consists of 5 mini hits and it has this mini game that you have to fill the shape, so I decided to call it the filler. So it has the filler as the mini game. When it comes to damage, the minimum damage of his special 2 is 27,937, which is the 62nd highest in the game and the 39th in the Gold League, quite disappointing. The maximum damage is 51,786, the 71st highest in the game and the 46th among the gold characters. Quite low damage on his special 2 unfortunately. And let us repeat again the properties of his special attack. It is unblockable, it has fire as main debuff, it can be cast from distance, however you have to keep in mind that the first two mini attacks will miss, but as we already mentioned this is not a big deal. It is lethal, it consists of 5 mini attacks and it has the filler as main minigame. So, for his special 2, Classic Kano gets 13.4 out of 19 possible points. Despite the low damage, the ability is unblockable, it has a good debuff, and it can be cast from distance, so this is something. Lacerator, this is the name of Classic Kano's X-Ray. What you need to know about it is that it can be cast from distance, no issues there, and it has strength as main buff, which is not really great, but it is still something after all. As you can see, this is a very quick X-ray, one of the fastest X-rays in the game. The damage of the X-ray is 81,768, the 56th highest in the game and the 31st in the Gold League. Once again, the ability has strength as main buff and it can be cast from distance. So for his X-ray, Klassic Kano gets 2.7 out of 4 possible points. And the total for his special attacks adds up to 21.5 out of 36 points. Klassic Kano, guys, has some average basic attacks. He's not the fastest but not the slowest character in the game when it comes to basic attacks speed. However, when it comes to chaining, he performs even better. I would say that he's slightly above average there. Like usual, when the opponent is blocking, he is not pushing him back. However, this is probably the only drawback of his when it comes to the chaining of his basic attacks. But of course, we have to ask ourselves whether this is a drawback indeed, because after all we want the opponent to block so that we can get our passive triggered. So I'll be giving 3 points for speed and 3.5 for chaining for a total of 6.5 out of 10 for his basic attacks. The passive at Klassic Kano, guys, is called Cheap Shot. Basically what it does is that any attack blocked by the opponent has a 25% chance of stunning the opponent. And of course, Kano has a 100% critical chance against enemies affected by stun. At first glance, this passive is very overpowered, and actually he needs this passive badly in order for him to stay relevant because of his low damage on special abilities and because of his low stats. So I would say that this passive works very good with him. However, it has one main weakness, and it is that there are items in the game which can totally destroy his passive. Items such as Drachmian Mask or Bloody Shotgun Armor. If the opponent, guys, has Bloody Shotgun Armor, you're lost. If you want to kill him with Klassic Kano, really, nothing will ever crit. And this leads me to the next point. You can see currently I'm attacking Assassin Kitana. She's blocking and eventually my passive gets triggered. And now I should have 100% critical chance, right? But no, none of my attacks actually crit, which is extremely disappointing. I mean, imagine that you're in a situation against Assassin Jade, so you finally get her stunned, only to find out that you don't actually do damage to her after she's stunned because all your attacks are not critical and deal tiny bit of damage. In such situation, probably what you have to do is to appreciate the fact that you have at least stunned her and then tag in with another character to do the damage. Because after all, without critical hits, Klassic Kano's damage is laughable. I'm sorry, but this is the truth. So, in other words, I really think that this passive needs some buffs. I really need to have those 100% critical chance every single time, regardless of the item the opponent has. I mean, let's face it, guys, this stun lasts for like 2 or 3 seconds, and I should be able to take advantage of those 2 or 3 seconds and deal as much damage as possible. Because let's face it, you can get close to 100% critical chance only by equipping Rat Hammer and Shao Kahn's helmet. And you can see now, I'm hitting my opponent and I'm critting on almost every single hit, and at this situation the opponent is not stunned. So I really don't find any logic why, when my passive gets triggered, I shouldn't be guaranteed that I'm going to crit. This is all I want for this passive. So I'm giving it 14.5 out of 20 points. It is a generally good passive, but poor execution, and it feels a little bit underwhelming. Unfortunately, it needs some buffs. Klassic Kano is just an outward character, so he gets 1 point for classes and 0 points for tagging attack. Okay guys, it is time to answer the question if Klassic Kano is a good character. So let's take a look at the bigger picture here. His stats are quite low, especially when it comes to health. The low damage of the special attack is noticeable, both special 1 and special 2. He has slightly above average basic attacks, and his passive can be easily countered by defensive items, especially Bloody Shotgun Armor, which is his biggest nightmare. However, despite all of these issues with the character, I somehow find him quite fun to play sometimes, so I occasionally put him in some teams and just take him for a spin. So I'll be giving 1 out of my 3 entirely subjective points. I mean, Klassic Kano is not a terrible character, but he is very squishy and he can be easily countered by a single item, and this is something that I don't like about him. Quite honestly, the funniest thing about him is that you can stun people while they're blocking, and that really feels good. And apart from that, he is just like an average challenge character, nothing special whatsoever. So, Klassic Kano scored 59.5 points, and we can label him as a kind of good character. He's without a doubt the best Kano in the game, but still the final verdict will be just kind of good. Okay guys, we go to the gameplay. First thing first guys, Klassic Kano is kind of a decent opener. I wouldn't recommend to put him as an opener, but if you don't have any other choice, then go for it. He is okay as long as you give him the Devastator and he gets the buff if the opponents share the same class. And when it comes to the characters that he counters, I wouldn't say that he's a hard counter to them, but still he can be good against them. And I'm talking about Assassin Jade, a Relentless Jason and Assassin Kitana, reason being he can stun them if they're blocking, and once stunned they cannot evade incoming special attacks. When it comes to characters who are tough matchups for Klassic Kano, Ravenous Melina, obviously she can one-shot him without any issues. Combat Cup Sonya or any other Combat Cup character including Sonya in the team is a tough matchup for Kano because all Combat Cup characters are immune to stun if Combat Cup Sonya is in the team. Also Pankasi, terrible matchup for Klassic Kano. Triborg Sub-Zero as well. Once you get frostbitten, you're more or less done, you have to tag out. You cannot keep fighting while frostbitten with Kano, unfortunately. And for the first time ever, I'm going to say that Klassic Kano is countered not by a character but by an item, and this item is Bloody Shotgun Armor. If the opponent has Bloody Shotgun Armor on, it's more or less game over for you. You have to tag out and rely on other teammates, because Klassic Kano will not crit ever. And that's very unfortunate because the damage is laughable. Okay guys, we got to the items. Quite honestly, I tried a lot of options in terms of items. I tried equipping him with Combat Knife, I tried equipping him with Shiryu Kanai, I tried equipping him with Rat Hammer, and I tried many more options. So my advice to you guys is pretty simple. If you want him to be a force to be reckoned, or at least if you want him to deal some damage, give him the Rat Hammer. Seriously, even if you don't do that, he can crit all day and he can deal so low damage that will be almost neglectable. I'm sorry, but the only time when I felt that his damage was something to be considered was when I gave him the Rat Hammer. Apart from that, the damage was simply meh, nothing special. Now granted, the Combat Knife is also a good weapon, so if you don't have the Rat Hammer, or if you decide to give the Rat Hammer to another character in the team, I would advise to give him the Combat Knife instead, even though the damage won't be that high. When it comes to armor, I strongly recommend to give him Shao Kahn's helmet, once again in my opinion the best armor in the game. And when it comes to accessory, I believe the best thing you can equip him with is the Bloody Voodoo Doll. When it comes to teams, guys, there are a lot of stunning teams you can build around Klassic Kano. For example, you can team him with Aftershock Tremor and Stun Double Johnny Cage for the ultimate stunning team. But please guys, don't put him in a team with Leatherface because you're going to open Pandora's box, because Leatherface is a diamond character and he's going to bring such tough opposition for Kano that poor Kano will almost deal 0 damage to the other diamond characters that he'll be facing. Also, you can put him in a fire focus team with Tiger Fury Goro and Shokan Warrior Kintaro, or any other character who actually has fire on any of his special attacks. And also you can try some troll teams with Classic Kano. For example, 3 Kano team is a very nice team because it is so hard to win that it actually requires some skill. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere actually. It's that hard with 3 Kanos. And if you want to make a 2+1 team using Kano, you can team him up with other 2 characters that can boost his stats. For example, Sun God Kotokan and Nimble Reptile. That might be something, but still there isn't really a perfect team including Classic Kano, unfortunately. So, Classic Kano guys, do you like him, do you dislike him, do you agree with me, do you disagree with me? Please let me know in the comments, and as usual, if you want to see more reviews, you can find them on the top right corner of the screen. Once again, Classic Kano scored 59.5 points and we labeled him as a kind of good character. He has a fun passive, however, very low basic stats and very low damage on his special abilities. So, see you in the next video guys. Take care.
Easy money. Perfect.